and welcome to my channel. My name is Billy and I wanted to do a quick video just introducing some books that I'm planning on doing in like a new series entitled, I think I'm going to entitle it Feeding My Inner Child / Millennia Nostalgia, where I reread books that I loved when I was younger. So I thought I would share some of those books that I'm thinking of reading. This isn't like an extensive list. I just picked a few that were kind of like top of mind. Some of them I know I enjoyed them when I read them, but I can't completely remember what they're about. But I'll try to give you a general synopsis of all of them. So I'll just hop right in. So the first book I have is Speak by Lori Halse Anderson. This book is about a girl who something really bad happens to her and she stops talking, and it's all a story about her finding her voice. I remember really liking this. I think this was also made into a movie, so I might rewatch the movie. I have seen the movie, but again, it's been a very long time. So, but I do remember really enjoying this book when I read it. The next one I have is The Pig Man by Paul Zindel. I actually can't entirely remember what this is about. The back says that these two friends, John and Lorian, they make a prank call to a stranger, but it turns into a friendship, and then they make a mistake and something happens and there's tragedy. I don't know for this book, I just remember for some reason them breaking into a house. I don't know if that is this book or not, but that's what I think of. But I also know I really enjoyed reading this book when I read it. So yeah, The Pigman by Paul Zindel. Next, I have a book that I technically haven't read, but I watched this movie a lot when I was younger, and I just have such like nostalgic feelings for this movie that I want to read this book. So that is A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I remember this from the Shirley Temple movie, The Little Princess, even though this is A Little Princess. I think this is the same. Yes, it is. Okay. So basically we have this girl who goes to this boarding school. She's very like well off. She's treated like, like royalty. She's treated like a princess. But then something happens, and then she's kind of, you see how she's like demoted within the boarding school, and she's made to basically be a worker. At least that's what happens in the movie. And so the story goes on from there. But I just remember really liking this. I also was a huge Shirley Temple fan growing up. Like, I just remember us having like the VHS box sets of these of the Shirley Temple movies. And so I'm very much looking forward to this and then watching that movie after I read this. So this is kind of like not quite a book that I've read, but I know this story so well from the movie, and I'm assuming the book will be similar. So there's this one. And next are some I don't have physical copies of. I'm planning on probably either getting them probably as ebooks, but if not, I'll purchase them. But the first is Crank. I'll put them on the screen somewhere. I can't remember the author's name, but I think it's Ellen Hopkins. But Crank, it's a book about a high schooler who develops an addiction to a drug. And I remember it was one of the first books that I read that talked about addiction, and I just found it so fascinating. And also the way that it was written, if I'm remembering correctly, it was written like in short spurts. I guess you can say stanzas. I don't remember if it was necessarily poetic, but I remember the format being like this really thick book, but there were barely any words on all the pages. So, but I also remember the story being really good. So that's that book. And then I recently was looking it up and I saw that it's actually the first book in a series, but I haven't read the other books in the series. So I might also read the other books in that series as well. But Crank is one of the books I also like to read. And then we have The House of Dyes Dreer by Virginia Hamilton. This book, it's kind of like a ghost, it's like a haunted house type of situation. So you have this family, this black family, they move into a house and they find that it's haunted, and then through like looking around they find that it used to be part of the underground railroad. And the main character, he's a 13-year-old boy. Again, terrible with character names. I think his name's Thomas. Could be making that up. But the main character, he's a young boy, and through his searching around in like all these like secret rooms, he like learns more about the history of the house and the people that live there. And I just remember really enjoying the book when I read it. Lastly, a book that I from my childhood that has one of the most like iconic covers that I can remember is Feed. Again, can't remember the author's name, but Feed. And I remember it being a very interesting book because it is like a future society where people connect to the internet through like chips in their brain, but then like the chips malfunction and then people end up in the hospital. And so it's like the main character, I think the main character is a boy, and he meets this girl who doesn't have one of these chips implanted in their brains, and he like learns what life is without these, what life can be without these chips, and how he doesn't have to, I guess, succumb to the group think and like everyone thinking the same that comes with having these chips. I'm very interested to read this because some people could argue that to a degree this has already happened. Those are just a few books that I am planning on reading or rereading. Most of them are going to be rereads, and I just wanted to highlight them. Perhaps you can help me pick which one you think I should read first out of the few that I've mentioned. Also, what are some of your favorite books from your younger years? I don't know how old the people are who watch my videos, the few people that do, thank you. But I would be very curious because these were just ones that were top of mind, but I would love to kind of get more ideas and like refresh my memory and also learn what books you liked as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.